Welcome to park in front of you and fill in all the available space. It is not necessary to form a single file line. If you are traveling with a stroller, please
Window.
and bags unloaded.
So on the left-hand side, making room for everybody in our party. Let's go. Hey, Jumbo, everybody. Welcome on board. My name is Josie. I'll be your safari guide as you venture through the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. How is everybody doing this morning? Great. Awesome. As you're heading out, there's some things we do have to go over. For your safety, remember to remain fully seated, keeping those hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the truck at all times. Again, everyone that needs to remain fully seated, even if they're in your lap, they need to remain fully seated in lap. They are currently sitting in throughout our entire journey today. There is no seat switching or swapping of any kind now that we are on the move. And those safety reminders are pretty important because it can get very, very bumpy out here on the reserve. And of course, safety is our #1 priority. We want to have a very fun safari, but also a very safe safari as well. Also make sure you're holding on to any of your belongings tightly. And if you do happen to drop something off the side of the truck, be sure to let me know right away so we can do our best to get it back to you guys. We're just going to wait one more second until we get that final all clear from the warden, and we will head on into the reserve.
Cool in here. Nice and cool in here.
So welcome to the Harambe Wildlife Reserve. Our first stop here is the Little Uttari Forest. The forest is going to be home to some pretty shy and reclusive animals that tend to be very good at hiding, as they're all basic camouflagers as their main defense mechanism from predators. And a couple animals. First thing here, you'll see the bongos up here on your left-hand side. There's also a saddle-billed stork here, this very large black and white bird. This one is about 5 feet tall with wingspans of about 9 feet in length, and they get their name from the saddle shape on their bill. And if you look back in the bushes as well, you'll see the okapi. Many people assume that the okapi are related to zebras because of their beautiful black and white striped legs, but they are the only known relative of the giraffe. And we know that because of the shapes of their skulls and their really long prehensile tongues. And a prehensile is just a very fancy scientific word that means finger-like. So they can use their tongues as an appendage. And again, these copper-gold antelopes here are the bongos, and the light gray one down here on your right-hand side is one of the greater kudu. Now, both male and female bongos have horns on their head, but only male greater kudu have horns. These are all females here, female greater kudu, because she doesn't have any horns on her head, and female bongos as well. Males are a little bit larger and a little bit darker in coloration. But they both have that striped pattern on their back, and that helps them to camouflage with the sunlight coming in through the trees. And if you look up on top of the hill here on your left-hand side, we're going to see the black rhinoceros. The black rhino is the smaller of the two species that lives here on the reserve, but they still weigh up to about 3,000 pounds. But that is considered small for a rhino. And you can see it pretty well here. They have a triangular shaped top lip. It's also that prehensile that we were just talking about with the okapi's tongue. So it's super muscular, helps them to eat here in the forest, and is also one of the main differences between them and other rhino species. Alrighty, now we are going to start crossing over into the Safi River Valley. The Safi River does run through the forest, so there's still going to be a lot of trees and greenery throughout here, and it's going to be home to some aquatic animals, but also some land animals like to hang out in and around the water as well. On your right-hand side, you might be able to see a couple of hippos hiding in the corner over here. If you can't see these ones, hopefully there'll be some more up ahead. These ones are kind of hiding in the corner over there. But hippos do spend the majority of their life underneath the surface of the water. They can hold their breath for around 8 minutes before they come up for air. Now, there's also a pod of pink-backed pelicans hanging out over here, and that pink coloration in their name is going to become more vibrant during their mating season, and they've also got about a 7 to 9 foot wingspan, like the saddle-billed stork we saw back in the forest. But that's especially impressive when you know that they're one of these smaller pelican species. And here you go on your left-hand side, moving more hippos over there. They are all resting right now, but if you see them moving around in the water, hippos don't actually swim, but they're going to walk or run along the bottoms of the pools, and that's just because they're pretty dense. They weigh upwards of about 5,000 to 500 pounds, so it uses a lot less energy to just sink down to the bottom and walk rather than try to swim. But they are herbivores, meaning they only eat grasses and plants, but despite this, they have a very large teeth with their incisors growing be about 18 inches long.
So cool. It's like something out of a video game. Jack would like to see it. Just reminded me of that.
And as we head over this bridge, hanging out down below us, there are the Nile crocodiles. So we are going to go pulley very slowly over the bridge.
Oh, look at that croc. See it? It's huge. It's under the water.
The Nile crocodiles are the largest crocodilian species in Africa. They can grow to be about 16 feet long and about 500 pounds. And you probably noticed they were staying pretty still down there. A lot of times they look like statues, but I promise you they're real. They're just staying very still because that helps them to conserve their energy and allows them to go about 7 days without eating. And as you can probably imagine, that will work up a very large appetite, so much so that in a single sitting, they're going to consume about half their body's weight worth of food. And again, they come in about 500 pounds, so pretty impressive. And as we head around this curve, you're going to notice a lot of the trees and greenery starting to thin out, and that's because we are heading down into the savannah.
Oh.
And on your right-hand side here is a very important part of the savanna ecosystem. This is a baobab tree. You've probably heard the baobab tree referred to as the tree of life. That is a pretty famous nickname it was given due to its incredible ability to hold thousands of gallons of water. And it does that by remaining leafless for about 9 months of the year. And that will make it a great water source for all the animals out here on the savannah to tap into, especially during their frequent drought periods. And the savanna here, also known as the grasslands, is going to be home to some of the most famous animals on the reserve, like zebras, giraffes, elephants, and lions. So we will do our best to see what we can get our eyes on out here. I can probably see already. Over here on your right-hand side is one of the Maasai giraffes. Maasai giraffes can grow to be about 18 to 20 feet tall, making them the tallest land animals in the world. And they typically eat for about 16 to 20 hours a day. And along with travel time, that leaves only about 30 minutes for sleep, which they'll do in just 5-minute intervals throughout the day. Up on your left-hand side here, they're kind of hanging out towards the tree line, are the African painted dogs. They've all got parents in spots, which helps them to identify each other out in the wild, even over long distances. And I'm sure we can all agree that they're super cute, but you don't want to underestimate them because they're also Africa's most successful hunters. They hunt as a pack and in a tag team effort. They will take turns chasing down their prey until their prey is exhausted.
Wow.
Now something super exciting happening here on your right-hand side, that little baby zebra. Now these are Hartman's Mountain zebras, and would you believe me if I told you she's just a couple days old? So super exciting to have her. Every single zebra has its own individual set of stripes, just like a human fingerprint, but babies are very intelligent, and they have the ability to imprint on their mothers at birth. And very simply, that means they can memorize their mom's stripe pattern in order to pick her out from the herd, and they can do that within the first 15 to 30 minutes of life. So they're super, super smart.
Okay, take another one. Take another one. Take another one.
So you get a pretty amazing view of her. We're also passing by one of the Ankole cattle here, and they have some pretty impressive horns on their head that can be about 6 feet long from tip to tip. And while that might seem kind of heavy to have carrying on your head all day, they are hollow on the inside with a honeycomb-like structure, and that's going to aid in blood circulation and help them to keep cool and regulate their own body temperatures. Now you will normally see giraffes doing most, if not all, of their daily activities standing up, including sleeping, because that is the least vulnerable position for them. So they'll let them lay down if they're really, really tired, or if they're in an area where they're comfortable to do so, like on a protected reserve like this one. And these giraffes will sleep standing up. They'll even give birth standing up, meaning their babies experience about a 6-foot drop down to the ground when they're born. And the little ones are going to be up and moving around within the first hour of life as well. That helps them to defend themselves from predators and also ensures that they're able to keep up with the group. And a group of giraffes is called a tower, unless they're traveling or migrating, and refer to them as a journey.
Yeah, maybe they want to go for a ride too.
Looks like she's going to be leading the way for a little bit here. Now, we do always stress that this is these animals' homes, and a lot of them can walk wherever they want to, but sometimes they do choose the ride path like this. But at least she's walking and not stopping. I don't want to jinx it, but... Now, they can reach speeds of about 35 miles an hour. We're reading about 0 miles an hour right now, though. She's really taking in the scenery.
Come on, girl.
Did you get where you wanted to go? Think you might be able to sneak past her here? Maybe?
Uh-oh.
No.
Whoa. Wow. She wants to join the party.
We can go 5-minute nap.
30-minute nap in the middle of the road. Oh.
Okay, wait.
Oh.
There we go.
Yay.
That's funny.
Alright, now lots of exciting things happening over here, but we're going to keep on moving. I will say the savannah is a pretty fragile ecosystem that's heavily influenced by the animals that inhabit it, and the fallen down trees ahead of us here are a great sign of some elephants in the area. Elephants are known as the bulldozers of the savannah, and we are crossing over into elephant territory. Now, it looks like he's hanging over here on your right-hand side. Now, this is an African elephant, and a pretty easy way to identify that is actually by looking at the shape of his ears. They very closely resemble the shape of the
huge African
continent of
elephant.
Africa, which is pretty convenient. And they flap those ears against their body because there are a lot of blood vessels in those ears that helps them to keep cool. And they can bring their body temperatures down by about 15 degrees just by doing that. Now, this is an adult male elephant. They can weigh up to about 13,000 pounds. But if you couldn't tell just by the sheer size of him, males are also a lot more solitary and territorial than the females are. So if you see one hanging out all alone, you should assume it's a male. Now, those larger herds are females and their offspring, and they're going to be led by a matriarch, one of the oldest and wisest females of the group. And she will start taking those males out around the age of 15, and then they're going to live on their own or loose bachelor herds for the rest of their lives. Usually around 300 pounds of vegetation in a single day is pretty normal for them. Elephants are also herbivores. That means that their diets mainly consist of fibers. They don't really get all the nutrients they need just from that. So as we are passing through these red clay pits, you might see a lot of test marks all on them. Elephants snack on red clay because it serves as a multivitamin for them. It's going to add extra nutrients to their diet. So they're going to use their tongue to dig in there, try and loosen some of it up. As you guys notice, more elephants in the area. So we have a couple of them over here on our left-hand side. Now, these two here are females. This is one of the matriarch groups that lives here on the reserve. So you can kind of just see them above the bushes here. Now, as we keep on traveling through here, we're going to see a few more baobab trees. And I previously mentioned how they were nicknamed the Tree of Life, but I much prefer to call them the Upside Down Tree. That's because like they're planted upside down and the roots are growing out on top of them. Now, baobab trees do require hundreds of years and a lot of heat to grow to this size, so they really thrive in the savanna ecosystem.
Oh, I love
greater in front of the name does not mean that they're better than any of the species, just larger than. And they also have the lightest shade of pink feathers of any of the flamingos. Iconic pink coloration is going to come from their diets. They eat a lot of brine shrimp, which is rich in beta-carotene, and that is a protein that gives them the coloration. But you might have spotted a few of the younger ones on the island there. They are born with gray feathers, and it does take a couple years for the full pink coloration to come through. And a group of flamingos has a pretty fun name. They're called a flamboyance. That is a flamboyance of flamingos. And just up next here are my personal favorite animals on the reserve. This is a crash of white rhinos. And they'll weigh up to about 5,000 pounds once they're fully grown, so they're a little bit larger than the black rhino we saw back in the forest. But their name, the white rhino, is actually a massive mistranslation from the Afrikaans word vite. That means wide and not white, and that was in reference to the shapes of their mouths, which are more of a square and a wide shape, and that helps them to graze out here in the savannah. And if you pay attention to their ears, you're going to see them turning them inwards and outwards, so that helps them to pinpoint where every single sound is coming from. Rhinos are very nearsighted, so they rely pretty heavily on their hearing and a keen sense of smell. Now also here on your left-hand side, you might see a cheetah. She's hiding just behind that tree there. You kind of just see the backside of her poking out there. See if we can find a couple more of them up ahead of us. But
Right there.
cheetahs will be
Right there. There she's walking.
Going from 0 to 60 miles an hour in
Speak it up.
3 seconds.
Speak it
But
up.
they can only maintain that speed for just a few hundred yards before they have to slow back down again.
There she is.
But they're not just masters
Whoa.
of speed, they're also masters of camouflage. Cheetahs camouflage very well, especially during the day. That is why they're one of the only cat species that will hunt during the day.
Oh my
And
gosh,
they also
and an
have those
ostrich.
black teardrop marks underneath their eyes, which help absorb
Oh my
sunlight and
gosh,
protect
look
their
at
eyes from the glare of the sun. And this ostrich here is a female. You can tell because she has gray feathers, whereas females have black and white. And despite having those very large wings, they don't fly, but they will use those wings to steer and maneuver themselves because they can reach speeds of about 40 miles an hour. And this rock formation that we are approaching here is called a Kobe Rock, and it provides a home for a much larger nocturnal cat species, the lions. See the male line up on the edge of that rock right in the center there. Probably see him a little better from the other side, so we'll make our way over there. They do sleep and rest for about 16 to 20 hours a day. They spend all that time conserving their energy, and then at night the females are the ones who go and do all the hunting, while the male is responsible for staying at home to watch over the territory and protect the pride. But if there are no cubs at the time, the male will sometimes go out and join the females on the hunt. They are most active very early on in the morning or later on in the evening. It's a little bit cooler at those times. And if you've ever lucky enough to hear it, a lion's roar can be heard for up to 5 miles. So that's how they communicate with each other and also how they let everybody know whose territory they're walking on. Up to 5 miles. Left-hand side, a couple of the warthogs. Now, warthogs are burrowing animals, and they're actually the largest burrowing animals in the world. And they will dig their own burrows, but they're actually more known to reuse and repurpose older, abandoned burrows. So, super resourceful and intelligent animals. They're also highly adaptive, and they're one of the only animals out here on the reserve that are not endangered.
Look at that one.
So, something to celebrate there.
Cute.
And also, if you take a look down here on your right-hand side, you'll see a big cluster of ostrich eggs. Those are the largest bird eggs, which makes sense because the ostrich is the largest flightless bird species. But you can actually stand on top of one of those eggs without cracking them. They are weighing in at about 3 pounds each, and that's equivalent to about 2 dozen chicken eggs.
Yeah, it looks like rock. When we go back, I'll show you where they are.
Our last stop here is the Magadi Glen as we are moving towards civilization and away from the wildlife out there. And here we're going to see a great example as to how humans and animals can coexist and live in harmony. There's a group of Nigerian dwarf goats here at the Warden's Post. They're pretty amazing animals. They make great natural lawnmowers that produce a lot of milk that the Warden can use to make cheese products, and they can sell goat milk and goat cheese in the local village. And it is more environmentally friendly to get these products from them rather than cows. Yeah. They're also incredibly playful animals. They love to run, jump, climb, and headbutt. And the most dominant male of the group is actually going to be established by which one is does lie on the edge of the reserve, so sadly that does mean our safari is going to be coming to an end here as we are approaching the outskirts of Harambe Village. But I know we've seen some pretty amazing animals out there today, and I do hope you guys can agree with that. But they sure are a lot of animals that we don't get to see every single day, and some of them might seem kind of intimidating, but it is important to keep in mind that the biggest threat to every animal we saw is unfortunately us as humans. But that is definitely not all bad news, because we all have the opportunity and the power to help out those animals as well. And a great way that we can do that is by remembering to reduce, reuse, and recycle, as that'll say can go a very long way and be a big step towards saving our planet and these animals' homes. Now you can do very simple things every day, like turning off the faucet while you brush your teeth to reduce the amount of water that you use. You can also buy reusable products like reusable water bottles, but also just take one extra step to learn how to recycle right every single day, whether that is while we're here in the parks or in local counties at home. Know what can be recycled and what can't be is a super important step to having an impact. And since we are here at Disney's Animal Kingdom, we always love to remind people that Walt Disney himself was a big conservationist, and he did say that conservation is not just a business of a few people, but is a matter that concerns us all. And yet a very simple way that we can help out is just by learning about these animals and talking about them. So you love them participating in conservation is by being here on my truck today. So big thank you to you guys. If you have any questions, my window here is of course always open. And to any wilderness explorers you've been riding on the Simba one.
22 minutes.
Once again, my name is Josie. I'm from South Bend, Indiana, and though this is going to be where we part ways here in Robbie, we don't like to say goodbye, as that is far too sad and far too final. So instead, I'm going to leave you with one last Swahili word, and that is Kwaherini, which means go well. So Kwaherini, my friends, go well and go wild, and have a great rest of your day here at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And if you're on the right-hand side, watch your hands, arms, feet, and legs. The door side open. Watch your head, watch your step as you exit. Once again, Kwaherini and Asante Sani, y'all. Thanks for riding with me.
Thank you. That was a lot of
Caribou Sarada, you're most welcome. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.